Hush Hush Biz is so thrilled to be speaking again to another fabulous female creator, Katie Reddin-Clancy, who's from obviously London. She's has a few different hats as well. You've got so many skill sets, Katie, and you're a voiceover, you do an actor, comedy, and writer, producer, a presenter. Amazing. And you're here with the world premiere of your show called The End Game, which I am so curious to find out more about. So, welcome first to our Hush Hush Beers. And how are you?
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm super well. I'm very excited. The sun is shining and it's just dreary rain back in Brighton and the UK. So yeah, I'm very much sort of lapping up the weather and just loving being in Australia.
Oh, well, you look absolutely gorgeous across from me. So yeah, so I'm really pleased that's all happening for you. And obviously you've been touring with the Endgame, and how's it been going so far? Because yeah, you tell us where you've been.
Yeah, so I previewed in Brighton, which is where I'm living at the moment, which is in the UK, because I know you've got a few Brightons around here. So I live in Brighton, UK. So I previewed it in February for 3 dates, and then I came over here to the Adelaide Fringe, when I did 2 weeks there, which was really, really incredible experience.
Oh,
And then I just arrived in Melbourne to do comedy festival
yeah.
and I'm just about to open on Monday at the MC Showroom.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm really, really excited. It's a brand new show, so it's been in my brain for about 4 years, and there was sort of one level of the story, and then as the years have gone on, I'm like, no, there's another layer. There's a spiritual layer, and that's where the sort of soul review aspect has come into it. So yeah, it's really interesting to test out what people think about a new show. You know, whether that's audiences and media and industry, and it seems to be across the board, really well received. So I'm super excited that people get it. I mean, it's huge concepts, big ideas. It's about a cabaret performer's soul review. So she dies, she goes to heaven, she watches a review of her life. She thinks she's done terribly well, turns out not so much. So it's character comedy and theatre and cabaret. And yeah, then she sees the impact she's had on one person's life. And there's some sort of parallel worlds discussed in that as well. So it's got some really massive concepts that I'm asking the audience to juggle.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It isn't this the subject of, where do we go after we pop off in the world? And basically, yeah, the mystery of that and what happened, there. But this concept here, how did this arrive? How did you obviously wrote this?
Yes, so the soul review I've just been really interested in, and I've read a lot about spirituality in the last few years, but I've been really into it since my grandmother got me into it, and my grandmother was called Joan Reddin, and it's kind of loosely based on her, the main character. She was an incredible actor and comedian. She was like a sidekick singer in Dublin, and then she became a personal manager, a theatrical agent. And she used to always take me to the theatre, and then she started taking me to mediums when I was young. And we'd always want, obviously everyone wants a reading or a message. And then I once went to a medium and they did what happened in the show, which was they said, Katie, keep your hands still because there's a spirit here that wants to talk to you. And so I was doing this, and then my hands started shaking, and they said, your mother's side's your right side, your creative side, your father's side, your left logical side. And my hands just went like this and was shaking like mad. And then they said, this spirit really loves you, and you whenever you want to tap into the spirit for joy or peace or harmony, you must think of the spirit. spirit, and she's called Beatrice. And does that name mean anything to you? And I said, no. So then she said, well, Beatrice, you got to step away so Katie knows the difference of when you're here and when you're not. And eventually she stepped back and my hands went like this, and I was able to, be in control of my own hands again. And then I went, I mean, it was an extraordinary experience, obviously, but it didn't mean anything to me because I didn't know who this person was. And then I went home and I just said to my father, this has just happened. And he just started crying because he just said, that's my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
But in the family, we'd always called her Queenie.
Oh, right.
So we'd never called her Beatrice. So I didn't know her full name.
Name.
So
How
from then on, and I was about 21 then, a couple of years ago, I I just thought, right, so it's real then. The spirit world's real. As in, there's no way that it was in the days of sort of pre me having a website and names are on there because my grandmother's name's on there, but it was no mention of my grand Beatrice, obviously, it's out now, but there's absolutely no way that that medium could have ever tracked that name to me. Just no way. And it's quite an extraordinary name. It's not like Claire or Sarah or something that they could have a bit of a sort of a stab at, and that sort of might be near. But it was so unique. So I thought, right, well, so this is it. And then I've been interested in the spirit world, and then the idea of the review. I kept thinking about this review because it is what happens apparently in when we go upstairs is we do watch this video of our life. And I've read it in so many different books, and in books where people do not want to believe in the spirit world. There are scientists, because science is really catching up with spirituality now, and there's some people who have hypnotherapists who have put people under, and they get to past lives when you go to one level, and then you get start talking about the soul's world, the spirit world, and they all report the same back. And there's two people, and one's now a professor over in America, and one's also a professor now, but they've put so many people under, and so many people say the same thing, and all of them say this soul review. And I thought, well, how fantastic. So let's do something, about that. And it's not just about our achievements, it's about the impact we've had on people.
interesting, isn't
Mm,
it? Which
mm.
is, the impact, I do believe in all this. Yeah, I've got a sort of a background of spirituality, of learning about a lot of things, and yeah, and I totally get what you're saying, Katie. It's a huge subject, and not everybody accepts it at times, but you've got to be open to explore and know, you know, as to how it is, how it cannot unravel. And, with your audiences coming to the shows, obviously they must be all open, or do you find that it's a mixed audience?
Well, it's funny you're talking about audiences because when you're marketing the show and when you're pitching to venues, they're always saying, right, so what's your target audience? And obviously, I say it's spiritual women between about 30 to about 65, 70 that will really get something from this because it is about women's choices in the world as well as spirituality. But then it's obviously for men who are interested in spirituality as well, those kind of ages. But it's also about a performer's life. So I do think then, the performers are really interested in it. The artists in Adelaide Fringe really enjoyed it. And then anyone who likes, theatre and character comedy and cabaret will get something from it. But in actual fact, the target audience is everyone because we've all got a vested interest in the afterlife because we're all heading there at some point. But it depends on, as you say, whether people are open to it or whether they believe in it. And it's funny because some people have come along, perhaps their partners dragged them along, and they're like, "Oh gosh," and they've wanted to have a conversation with me afterwards and say, "So where's this research from, and where do you get it from?" And I've explained, I've read all these books and all the internet that all repeat this, and they're like, "Oh, that's really interesting." And I think there's some sort of soul recognition when you hear truth like that. You think, "Ah, it doesn't seem so mad." In actual fact, it seems more mad to think that we're the only ones in this universe. It's quite egotistical to think that we're the only alive people on this huge infinite universe that we know nothing about. So of course, it's more likely to believe that there are other people and other spirits and yeah, out there.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny, I'm attending two funerals over the next couple of weeks, and both were at their time to go, but you know, immediately I feel, when someone departs close to you, they're joining the rest of the gang that's, previously gone. They're and it's and but it's like, yeah, the review of your life. And it's like where, the fact that, do we come back as well?
Well, that is discussed actually in the show.
Yeah,
Actually, interestingly enough, I believe in reincarnation. I believe in past lives. I've had so many regressions
yeah.
that I've been told that I think I've had something like 47 past lives or something. So I'm quite an old soul, which is probably why I'm doing a show like this. So yeah, I think it's very interesting and yeah, absolutely fascinating topic to be discussing and exploring.
What star sign are you? What's your date of birth? If you
I'm Gemini. So I'm a Gemini sun. I'm a Virgo rising. I'm a Leo North Node. I'm a Cancerian Venus and Aquarian moon. So, funnily enough, a friend of mine did my chart, my birth chart, and they said, "Oh, you're something like your midheaven is right." So they said you would do well to be doing art, creativity, but on your own. I said, what, solo shows? And they're like, yeah, solo shows. And also you're fascinated with spirituality, like the unknown and the universe and quantum and all that kind of thing. And I'm like, literally my next show is about soul review. And they're like, yeah, that makes complete sense. So
Wow.
yeah, I think I'm on the right path. And funnily enough, I did ask for have you heard of Gabby Bernstein? So she's a spirit junkie, she calls herself, over in America. She's a big sort of luminary. And she does this manifesting course at the beginning of each year, and I've done it. And there's one thing that she says is, when you're on the right path and you're doing a project, ask the universe for a sign. And it can be the first thing that comes into your head, like it's an apple or it's a, pink nail varnish or whatever it is. And that's your sign. And you tell the universe, right, give me a sign, and it gives you pink nail varnish or whatever. And you go, right, okay, when I see pink nail varnish, I know that you'll be telling me I'm on the right path. And I said to the universe, because obviously to come over to Australia, and it's a huge, huge financial thing for me, and it's a huge creative risk. And I sort of was setting up businesses to just try and afford it and all this kind of thing. And I was thinking, gosh, this is a stretch, it's a risk. What do I do? And I was like, right, Gabby Bernstein, ask for signs. I said, send me a sign of pink feathers, a pink feather. And I kept not seeing it. And I think, oh my God, I'm not meant to be doing this. Oh my goodness, my goodness. And then I did a renovation of my house and in Brighton. And I found this picture that I bought myself with pink feathers. And I was like, no, the universe hasn't given me that. I've given myself that. And anyway, I arrived in Australia and I thought, I'm just not going to get my sign. And I walked into my first venue, which is Fool's Paradise. And there is an absolutely enormous, I'm going to show you the picture.
I love this.
There's an absolutely enormous picture of, um, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, drum roll, please.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, right by, so Fool's Paradise. Can you see that?
Oh
The
God, yeah. Oh
pink
wow,
feathers,
that's amazing.
right, drew right next to my venue.
Pink wing feathers.
And I thought, if that's not pink feathers, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, that's a big sign.
It's a
That was
sign.
that was a thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I am meant to be doing this. And a few things, they say when you see feathers in the sky or something, that spirit's near you. And a couple, there's a very moving song where she sings to someone in the spirit world. And I always think of my grandmother when I sing it, because obviously the main character's named Joni and my grandmother's called Joan. And I always think of my grandmother. And twice on stage I've seen a feather in front of me.
Beautiful. Oh, that's just beautiful signs, isn't it? Oh my God, I love this. This is
She wouldn't miss a trick. I always say, right, my granny, you're on, you're booked. And she wouldn't miss it. She'd be like, well, darling, of course I'm here. Of course I'm in the theatre. Of course I'm booked.
oh, that's delightful, Katie. That is just beautiful. You must get so much, I don't know, amazing energy out of delivering something like this as well. It it must fill you up.
It really is. And I tell you what, there's something about going on after the acknowledgement of country here, where they speak about the spirits and following them. And there's something so spiritual about the land of Australia
Yeah.
that, I'm walking on straight after recognizing, the elders and uh, people past and present. And it was just like, my goodness, it couldn't be more fitting for me to walk on now, and go into the afterlife.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really amazing. And I think just the reaction, because it is quite out there, as a topic, and people are either drawn to it and get really emotionally affected and sort of inspired by it. Or they don't come to the show. So, but yeah,
Loss.
it does feel like it's really hitting some hearts, which is beautiful.
That's probably the purpose of what, this is all about for you. It's amazing. It's
Soul
amazing.
mission. I think
Yeah.
so. Mm.
Yeah. No, it's great. So let's get the dates right. You're going to be um on the 31st and the 6th of April in Melbourne
So
at the
I'm starting on the Monday, 31st, and I'm running until the Saturday. That's all at 7 p.m. Then I've got a matinee on the Sunday, at 2 p.m. And then I've got a week off, and then I start again the week after.
okay, fantastic.
Last week of the festival, yeah.
And that'll be your last show in
Well, until the
Australia?
yeah, and then so until the 20th of April at 7 p.m. in Melbourne. Then I go to Sydney,
Sydney.
and
Yes.
yeah,
Sydney
I've got
Fringe.
one date at it's at the time of the comedy festival, but I'm not actually in the comedy festival because I'm only doing one show.
Okay.
Um, so people who are liking comedy, obviously it's got lots of character comedy in it. It's got lots of characters in. I think there's about 8 characters in there. And when I've interviewed people about the show, they've all liked a different character. So it's really interesting. They've all had a different favorite. So yes, it's at Flight Path Theatre on Saturday, the 26th of April as well at 7 p.m. Then
Yeah.
I hop on a plane and go back to my hometown of Brighton and I do Brighton Fringe.
Oh, beautiful.
Mm.
How lovely to end up in your home with
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's a spiritual community. It's a very forward-thinking place. So yeah, I'm hoping people enjoy it there as well. And then who knows what happens? I'd like to go to Edinburgh at some point. It's sort of finance dependent, and yeah, so we'll see what happens with the show and who's up for. Yeah, there's other venues interested in me touring. So who knows where Endgame will end up.
Oh, I think the end game is going to keep going. That's why.
Really nice to think that. Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
really nice to think.
Yeah.
I was just getting quite packed out in Adelaide. My last few shows were nearly sold out, and it was 103 people in the theatre. So, to be sort of filling, a good 90 tickets in at a busy weekend, I was really pleased about. So yeah, people are enjoying, and people are coming back twice. Some people came back, twice to have a. There's lots of layers, and you need to concentrate.
Yeah.
Um, to
Yeah.
get the story. And then some people I did a massive rewrite in the middle. So I had a week on, then a week off, and then a week on. And I
Yeah.
was working with Sarah Louise Young, who did an amazing show called An Evening Without Kate Bush.
Yeah.
And it was just won best overall cabaret at Adelaide Fringe. And so I was working with her when I got to Australia, and we sort of pulled the show apart and make it. It was really interesting when someone hasn't seen it, because I worked with an amazing director and dramaturg over in England, Abigail Graham. But we'd been working together for a few months. And then it's nice when someone hasn't seen it at all. They're like, oh, this bit doesn't make sense. This bit doesn't make sense. So that's what Sarah did. And then in the middle, she gave me some notes. And she said, I don't want to give you these notes because they're big things and big narrative things. And you shouldn't take the engine out of the car when you're driving the car, Katie, in the middle of a fringe. And I was going, yes, I know. But now I know the feedback. I can't not put it into practice, and I want to try it. So the first show of the second week, I was like, So it's sort of like, I know this bit, I know this bit. Oh, 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 new bit, slow, slow, slow. It's all right, tech, I've got this. And then off we go again. And then, oh, new bit, new bit. So it was a bit awful. It felt like gross. I mean, the audience said they didn't notice, but I was like, oh, oh, in my head, in my head. But then the second night we filmed it and it was all in the flow. So I was really pleased that I did it. So when the people came back the second week, they're like, all these new bits. Oh, it's much clearer and that sort of thing. So it's really good to listen to audience feedback when they said, I got a bit confused about who was who and did this. And I thought, no, I want to make it clear. So that was great. And the other thing about Adelaide Fringe, they've got Honeypot, which is all this industry that go there and we do all this networking, which is an incredible opportunity for us as artists to meet all the industry. And I met some really, really helpful people that actually gave me some personal feedback. They came in to see the show, which was incredible to get them in. And the next day I had meetings with them and they gave me actual feedbacks to get feedback from huge theatres, like Soho Theatre in London was incredible. And I thought, right, well, they know their stuff. And I put all it into action and off I went in the second week and it was a much clearer show. So yes, it was great to do it again.
Fantastic, Katie. I'm so thrilled for you. And again, we're thrilled to, be speaking with you today and wish you all the best. So thank you for, joining us here today and go and smash the end game.
Oh, absolutely. And hopefully one day you'll be able to come and see it.
I hope so. If I see a pink feather, that'll be a sign.
Absolutely ask for it. Yeah, right.
I
Think
will. I'll say, show me a sign. I better get on a plane and get down and see you.
that would be so good.
Oh, thank you. Again, thank you very much and all the best and love your work.
Thank you so
Very.
much for having me. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.